Hello and welcome. Is it welcome? I'm not sure. Anyway, we are ABW. We are not an Arsenal podcast. We will only look at football this week, and we didn't see any football in that last 90 minutes. So we will move on. I'll introduce my guests and then we'll just finish it, I think. Or maybe should we do something? Karl, what do you reckon? Should we talk through this or should we just pack up our shit?
Personally, I think we should talk about how Brexit is going to change our lives and also talk about the vaccine. Will you take it? Will you not? Coming soon.
We got any new trains coming, Karl, that we could talk about?
Oh, no, we got no money.
No?
No, TFL got no money.
How about, can you still ruin Fifey's journey to work now that he lives in Twickenham?
That bastard, no, he fucking doesn't get London Overground no more, so I can't. What a bastard.
First Arsenal now, this, Karl.
I know, what next?
I know, right?
It's
all falling apart. Well, I can introduce Danny as well, but he's done that already.
I thought
by spitballing.
Don't introduce me. That means I can leave when you two start crying. I don't need anything.
I will say for everybody who didn't have to witness what I witnessed when I was waiting for this podcast to start.
Hate me. Danny
was going for a piss and then said urine afterwards. And I'll have to say that was more enjoyable than watching Kieran Tierney put in 356 crosses onto a striker that couldn't give a fuck and another one who's too short. So cheers for that, Danny.
That's right. Glad to see Dark Josh has joined us.
Yeah.
Angry Josh.
It's a nightmare. You know it's bad when is our next game of relegation 3-pointer. Karl, there's my first question for this evening.
I mean, we laugh, to think that Arsenal are not in a relegation battle. We're fucking 16th. Like, Arsenal are 16th. We are. These are tears of joy and tears of sadness. Arsenal, there's no team that's too big to go down, and I'm sorry. Remember that Newcastle United went down, and everyone was saying that Newcastle United was too big to go down. This team, and I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to get relegated. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to think of the notion that Arsenal will get relegated. However, we need to get 3 points very, very soon. We are just lucky that there are teams below us, like the likes of West Brom and Fulham, and who are a bit shitter than we are. But if they go on any sort of momentum, I mean, I know West Brom lost today, but that's only because they got a man sent off. They were going toe-to-toe with Palace. And it's only because they got a man sent off reason why they lost. Fulham are on a bit of a run, aren't they? Like, didn't they beat Leicester the other day? I want to say
they did. They did beat Leicester.
And so, I'm laughing, but it's like nervous laugh when you think, we're not going to get relegated. Are we? Shit. No, it's a shit show. At the moment, it really is a shit show. It's just really bad, and what the thing is that no one can pinpoint why we're so bad. Is it the manager? Is it the players? Is it the tactics? Is it the owners? What is the reason why Arsenal Football Club are in this spiral of decline, which is we can't see a way out of? Like, you cannot at the moment look at a game and think, oh, we might win that, we might nick a point there, because every single game we're going to play, you're thinking, shit, are we going to, could we win that? Could we win that? I mean, I want to say the next game at home is Burnley, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And even that, you're thinking we should beat Burnley, but then you're thinking, fuck, the confidence is so low. If Burnley actually turn up, there's a big possibility that Burnley could actually beat us. So, as for the future, let's focus on Spurs game, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Danny, should we talk about the lineup a little bit, or should we talk about Jim Howson?
I think Jim is more important than the lineup, so give Jim a little tickle.
Cheers, Jim, for giving us a little tickle and dropping some loose change down Danny's pants. I'm sure when he's taking a penny, he can also take a penny from your stash as well.
Although I'm not wearing any pants. I'm just wearing socks and a t-shirt. As if the day couldn't get any worse.
I mean, for any people not watching, I just did the slowest blink I think I can do. But Jim did say, stop the count. Spurs stole that North London derby. Fraud. Yeah, I think in terms of our lineup, there wasn't anything from like the microcosm that you could say, oh, we should change that. We should change that. It was more or less a starting 11 we kind of expected, other than, Karl, should we talk about Thomas Partey coming back in? I think it was a bit of surprise to see him there.
I asked our Liquif, Simon, I asked him yesterday in one of our groups. I said, I asked him 3 questions. Is Kane fit, or is it usual bullshit? And then he said it's bullshit, he is fit. I said, will Partey be involved? He said he'd be on the bench. And I said, Martinelli said he's back soon. So even Simon, who knows everything about what's going on, he's elbow deep in the world of football, he said Partey will be on the bench. And you could see as the game started, Partey wasn't up to it, was he?
No, sorry, Karl. I did say to you, but then Danny flipped
You
it.
didn't. You said me.
I did, and then I said Karl halfway through.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I listened to the beginning.
No, exactly. You only listened to the start of the bit. You don't.
I'm looking for questions from our wonderful listeners, viewers.
Okay, I'm sure there is plenty, but yeah, Karl. Thomas Partey coming in looked about 40% there. Was it bad that he was our best player in the first half?
I think it just shows how bad our midfield is that Mikel Arteta would take a 30 to 40% fit Partey over a 100% fit Ceballos, or I'm going to say maybe 80 to 90% El Nene, because El Nene was out with COVID, so you don't know how that's affected him, whether he's still, it depends how COVID gets you. And obviously, if he's sort of having breathing difficulties, or he may have had it, it's not good. But it just goes to show you just how bad the midfield is, because a player who was out, and you've just thrown him into arguably one of the most important games of the season. Straight away, you've just thrown him in, and you could tell he wasn't fit. He wasn't, and even though he wasn't fit, like you said, Josh, he was our best player. He was kind of running over the pitch, but you can tell when someone's 100% or even 70% fit. But the fact that you could just look at him and just think something's not right there, there's no way. And the fact that Mikel Arteta, you can tell how desperate he is. The fact that he's just thrown him in just says everything you need to know about sort of what's going on in the club at the moment. But I mean, we'll talk about, I guess, the lead up to the second goal later. But it was something that backfired badly, and now you probably just know he's probably going to be out for best part of another month.
Yeah, I think it was a risk for reward kind of thing that, if we play Partey, yes, he might be out longer than maybe the month or so that we'd heard previously. But if we got a win in the North London derby, you'd think that momentum would take us through that time, because we've struggled so much as well. So I'm not necessarily too disappointed with the chart that Arteta brought him in when he clearly wasn't fit, because of the performance we saw from him. But let's talk about that first goal as well. Danny, are you looking at all 3 browsers, or are you on this one?
I am listening to you, my dear boy. Carry on.
Thank you. So the first goal, do you want to talk us through that one as well? I've got a couple of things that I'd like to say.
Yeah, Richard Morris says, let's not talk football. We tried that at the beginning and we just couldn't help ourselves. Yeah, we're doing a lovely bit of attacking down the right wing, because we all know that Bellerin has no pace anymore. That we used to think Bellerin was a decent player because he's had pace. He doesn't have pace anymore. And even back then we used to go, well, what he lacks in pace, he can make up for in what he lacks in defending, he can make up for in pace. Well, he doesn't have the pace anymore, and so he's in the edge of their box, and he's standing there trying to do the usual pointless shit that he does all game, every game. Oh, if he's not taking foul throws or throwing the ball straight to their player in the second minute of the game, and then he's on the edge of their box with the ball, and then Son goes, I'll have the ball, please. Thank you very much. Gets the ball, sprints down the other end, and then does what he does. And Bellerin's breathing through his arse trying to keep up with him. And Bellerin finally makes it there just as Son is about to have his shot, which I looked back at it 3 or 4 times, as many times as they would show. I don't really think you can I think Leno's placement for the goal, he should have seen what was coming. But Son, brilliant way that he took the goal, much like with Lacazette's one that he scored in midweek. There's not much the goal he could have really done about it if you're out of position, and you don't expect Bellerin to be out of position. And who's on the right-hand side would have been Holding, would have been there with him, and you would have hoped Xhaka would have been there as well. Anyone to try and block it. But then Son just put it round him. But it all comes back to the fact that why is Bellerin constantly playing as a right winger all the way up the pitch? Ridiculous.
Can I interject there?
Go, Karl. Go.
I'm sorry. Holding is for me at fault. Not at fault for that goal, but he is a helping contribution to what Son does. I'm sorry. So obviously, the ball comes into Kane. Kane turns and hits this ball out to Son. Son's running down the right, and there is no one up with Son. So there's nothing Son can do. There's absolutely nothing he can do. He's not going to. So the danger is Son coming on the inside. That is the danger because there's no one for him to pass to. So rather than Holding, push him out wide, and maybe because Holding's scared that Son's going to beat him for pace, he just lets him run and he backs off and he backs off and he backs off and he backs off. So then Son takes one touch, touches it inside, and then bang, top corner.
Who should have been there though, Karl, to stop it?
Holding's a central defender.
Yeah.
He's a central defender. So the fact that Son came inside onto Holding side, he should not be showing him inside. He should be showing him on the outside. So then, yes, Bellerin's out of position, but you're giving Bellerin time to get back into position. Holding, we'll talk about Holding later, we will, but Holding's not good enough to be an Arsenal player. I'm sorry, he never has and he never will be. You can talk about all the glory days of, yes, against the Chelsea when we won the FA Cup. You can think of the amount of good games versus bad games that Holding has. He's had more bad games than he has for Arsenal, than he has for good. But for me, I'm really sorry. Holding is more at fault for anything in that goal because you've got to show Son on the outside. There's no one up with Son. So if he goes on the outside, he's going to have to wait to try and for all the other players to catch up to get inside the box. So why Holding is backing off, and you can tell what Holding's probably thinking. Yeah, go on, have a shot. You should know your players. Son has got that in his locker because I hate to say this, I really do. Son is a very good player. He is a really, really good player, and you don't do that to those sort of players. So for me, as much as Bellerin may have been out of position, I'm sorry, Holding, he's got to be better than that. As a
it's Holding coming across out of position because Bellerin isn't there to do his job. So Holding's trying to do the job at the centre back and cover.
I disagree on Bellerin not doing his job because Bellerin isn't out of position because he's shit. But there's clearly something the manager has been telling him to do because you're not out of position so consistently than that. If it's not something the manager, it's not natural for a right back to always be out that place. But if you look at what Pep had with Kyle Walker, I know it's another Spurs player, but that guy has the recovery place to get back. Bellerin doesn't, but it's clearly a risk versus reward thing. Holding's there. Holding is covering that space, and one of our midfielders, Xhaka or Partey, kind of drops in. We've seen it with the way our fullbacks go on, that they're not necessarily seen as the first line of defence when it comes in because we've got other players that sit back. So I'm not too much seeing it with Bellerin being the problem there.
He agrees with you.
Yeah.
And he did this 9 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. So I think that's the thing, that we haven't got a player that can do that. So I'm not sure what Arteta's trying to do with Bellerin in general because it doesn't look right for the personnel. But that completely aside, Holding should be wiping out Son, putting him into row Z. That's it. I don't think we can really go around there. And then because he lets him go so far forward, I'm surprised he took the shot from that far out, to be honest. I think everybody else assumes that Son goes into the box, he tries to win a penalty. Or he tries to beat the man in the box, because then there is at least a chance he wins a penalty. But even Leno didn't, look from the looks of things, expect Son to take a shot from that far out. And it's just completely done him. And that's the only bit of brilliance that we really saw from Tottenham in the whole game, to be honest. If we go into it. Because, Karl, I think we can continue going through the second half. and how we just also for the second part of the first half, and how Spurs didn't really trouble us from then on, did they?
They did nothing. It was a Jose Mourinho literally done the rope-a-dope on Arsenal. Literally soaked up all the pressure and then hit them on the counter-attack. Soaked up all the pressure, hit them on the counter-attack. Apart from that, there was nothing Spurs done. And, I think it was Gary Neville that said it in commentary. Going 1-0 down to Jose Mourinho's side is suicide. Absolute suicide, because you just know that they just shut up shop, and that's what they did. They shut up shop, hit us on the counter attack again, and then after, I don't think Spurs had a shot on goal in the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
They didn't need to.
They didn't.
Yeah, but in the second half, no shots on goal. That, do you know what I mean? That's some sort of Arsenal stat, but it just goes to show you that at half time, you just know what Jose Mourinho said: keep it tight, keep it compact, hit them on the counter again. Keep it tight, keep it compact, hitting on the counter. But we just didn't give them a chance, because I think we may have learned from the sucker punches from the first half. But, I'm not going to say we dominated the game, because that's ridiculous. We didn't dominate the game, but we didn't, even hard to say that we played well, because I don't think we really played even that well. But we played well enough for us to try and have something out of the game. Not a win, because we didn't play well enough to win the game, no way. But for me, it just goes to show you that if a team who has that many chances, and we literally still end up how we are, as bad as we are.
Yeah, I can't fathom anyway. Alan Bastard MP has... Danny slipped 5 Aussie dollary doos into your sock.
Yes,
I think that's the only available clothing.
Yes. It's Sir Alan Bastard. That's how Rick Mail got away with it. Thank you very much, Alan. Very kind of you, sir.
And he says get rid of them. He doesn't mention who. It could be us.
I think it's a collective.
It could be just a collective to everybody in the world. Just fuck off. Easier if your belief is a flat Earth, because then at least there's edges to push people.
Push them.
Exactly. But yeah, let's go through to I think we're going to have to talk about it. Danny, Partey is injured. He goes off a little bit, and Spurs counter-attack and utilise the space that he has given up to allow, what's the polite term for it? The man who dribbles a lot. In both
figuratively and literally,
yes. Smashes a thunder bastard at Leno's near post. Yeah, talk us through that.
This is another clusterfuck, isn't it? Because we know that the FA are going to protect Kane. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone other than ourselves, but you cannot go anywhere near Kane, anywhere around your own half, because he will dive over you, fall over backwards, and get a penalty. And then that everyone's going to rip you to shreds if you give away a penalty by fouling Kane anywhere near the box. Kane doesn't even have to be in the box. He'll still manage to get a penalty, and he'll always get it. And VAR will back him up, and the FA will back him up. And it's dangerous. We've seen the number of injuries to players recently where he jumps up, and then he'll deliberately jump up and backward. Oh, gee, nearly unplugged my headphones. He jumps up and goes backwards and falls over you to make it look much like I think Xhaka did in the beginning of the first half. I think he did a similar thing where he went underneath a player, and it looked like the player had fallen over him when it was his fault. And you can't go anywhere near Kane. And they're all shitting their pants. And at times it looks like they're all going, oh, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? I don't want to do it. I'm not touching it. And then he just has the freedom to go and do whatever he wants. And he knows that, as much as I do like Leno is not having a great time with it at the moment, because he's either parrying it or missing it, or his placement is wrong. But again, you could also make the argument that there's nothing Leno could have done about either goal. But if you keep backing off and you're scared of stopping the player one way or another, even just standing there with your hands behind your back like a brick wall, like Tony Adams would have done, and let the player run into you and bounce off, maybe that's the only thing you can do with Kane. But I wasn't surprised that he scored.
No, I don't think so as well. It's one of those, it's a bit like a Podolski shot, though. You're like, I don't know if I can blame Leno fully for it.
No. Well,
absolute
either goal,
power
really.
he's hit it just the power he's hit it with. And we shouldn't be caught out by that. I think, Karl, did you want to talk about Thomas Partey and what he'd kind of done in there? Because I think it's another goal that can kind of be sorted out by a bit of not sportsmanship, but what's the other word I'm looking for? Game management.
Yeah, I personally think if Partey just sits on the floor, the game gets stopped. I'm not in a game of blaming people, but Partey should not just walk off the pitch. You don't do that. In no walk of life do you just walk off the pitch. That is just stupid to do. He should have just sat on the floor and the game would have been stopped. I think maybe he was angry. Maybe he was just pissed off, and maybe he was that if you're that injured, you just sit on the floor. And I think, you got to be smart in the dark arts. Do you know what I mean? Like
time wasting.
Yeah, unless he needed to have a poo really badly, or he's going to the toilet. You don't just walk off the pitch. That's wrong. And maybe Mikel needs to have a word with him and just say, just be a little bit smarter. You're a footballer. You should know how to play this game. And the fact that the attack comes down that side where Partey should be, and straight away I was like, where's our midfield? Because I said it in our group. I was like, the midfield's gone. And then I was like, there's someone. Well, I didn't know that. I knew there was someone missing, but I thought they were up the pitch. And then when you realise that Partey should have been in that position, then you think to yourself, oh, okay. And then when you realise, and then Martin Tyler on that commentary was saying he just walked off the pitch. He was like, what the fuck? And then you see him just walk off the pitch, and you're like, come on, like you got to be better than that. You have to be. But I don't know what the reason he just walked off the pitch. There's got to be something. But yeah, Mikel Arteta has to have a word with him about that, about the whole team, about be a bit smarter on the football pitch.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that annoyed me the most, that you've got a player who's come from like the school of Simeone, doesn't think that in a big game perhaps he should just go down, kill the game, even if it's one of those that if Spurs don't put it out, then fine, but the referee might at least give us a benefit of the doubt, and he's at least got to still be on the pitch at that moment, bring one of his attackers back in, ask Willian to drop in or someone to shuttle across. I think there's many options for him. So I think there is that kind of pressure that's coming on our defence purely because our attack is so toothless, and we can go into that second half now. And Zani, I think we'll just put it all together as like death by 1,000 crosses, because I can't think of anything big that really happened in the second half for us. We started a little stronger, but otherwise,
I mean, you can tell at halftime, Mikel Arteta definitely put the fear into God and just said, enough of this stupidness. Or maybe it was 6-1, half a dozen the other. Maybe Mourinho said, all right, we've won the game now, shut up shop, which more than likely that's what he's done. And Mikel Arteta has probably just said, this is ridiculous. I mean, I've just seen the quotes now from his interview, and Mark Bennett just put it in the chat as well, saying that they did everything I asked them to do. If you look at the stats, they're in our favour. But at the end of the day, it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net, which, kind of hits the nail on the head. Whatever he asked them to do, if it was just cross the ball, then yeah, you're spot on, Mikel. They definitely crossed that ball, but we have to start scoring goals. We have to, put the ball in the back of the net. And I don't know if he's talking about, weirdly, is that cryptic for we need another striker? I don't know if that's a cryptic message to the owners to say that we definitely need somebody who can score goals. Weirdly, we have got people who can score goals. Aubameyang can score goals. I've got mixed feelings on some of our other strikers. I really do. Whether Eddie can make it, I don't know. Lacazette, the jury.
He's changed his game, hasn't he? Lacazette's game is no longer as the goal scorer poacher that how he made his name and his career. I mean, you could see from game to game how his game is adapting, and not adapting to the better, is it?
Because maybe he's not playing well enough to be the out and out number 9 striker, so he's trying to come back into, dare I say it, the Bergkamp role, like trying to be a number 10. If only we had a number 10 in the squad that was actually a number 10, but it is what it is.
You look at the number of times that we used to moan about Wenger. He'd play in the same team every time, no matter what. And I used to go, I wish you'd stop doing that. I wish you'd adapt your tactics for who you're playing. And then now we look at Arteta. Every single game, it's a different lineup, different players doing different jobs. I mean, why you take Bellerin off and decide to go and play Saka at right back, a left-footed player who's not really. I mean, he makes a half decent left wing back, but playing him at right back. I mean,
you have to try something, Danny. I can't agree. You have to try something.
Did we have Cedric on the bench?
No, we didn't have Cedric on the bench. Yeah, he is. We had Maitland-Niles on the bench. I think the reason we brought Saka on was so we had someone with a left foot that could do like the who would come in on his instep and curve it in on his left foot to bring us a different option out there, because Saka was interchanging with Willian on who was on that flank anyway. So I think Bellerin made sense because he was up there anyway, kind of playing that weird central midfield role.
Didn't have the best game either.
I don't think he did, but I don't think he was as bad as people potentially make out.
Really?
I think
can't take a throw in.
Yeah, I know he can't take a throw in. One thing I would say is the throw in that he's being asked to take, though, is one that's really easy to foul throw, which is when the players are too close to you. If your receiving player is too close to you, you can't get the ball up and over properly. You have to release it like too late, or it's just a weird up and down.
I get that, Josh, but if only that there was somewhere that he'd go every day to try and practice what they asked him to do. Like I don't know, somewhere in Hertfordshire, like in the I don't know. Like
somewhere near Watford's training ground, yeah?
Near there, yeah, where every day he goes to and, he practices doing these things. I mean, for me, there's no excuse, Josh. I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I do. I totally do. But come on, like, you're a professional footballer and you get... It doesn't matter about the money. You're a professional footballer and you can't take a throw-in. Come on. I don't know.
I think our setup from throw-ins is shit. Generally, I think we need to look at that as a bigger problem, because it looked like there was a run on that foul throw that Willian makes, which it looks like he doesn't understand you can't be offside from a throw-in, because he does a weird little run, then comes really short. Bellerin should have should know that you can take a step back and it makes that throw-in a lot easier than him standing right on the line.
Yeah,
I think we've got this big set piece guy in who's done a great job defensively with us, but we need to start looking at someone and what we're doing on the throw-ins, because
but it's not the first time.
No, it's not the first time. But I also look at Tierney. Why is Tierney taking a long throw?
Because maybe
who has decided under the set plays? Not only
is Bellerin, they're not even getting
exactly.
Exactly.
Bellerin's taking stupidly short throws that aren't working. He's getting called for a foul throw every fucking time. And on the other side, Tierney's trying to throw him in like he's Rory Delap. And we've got a bunch of diminutive playmakers up top. He's just like, what the fuck's going on?
Though, isn't he? Exactly. I mean, it's not like it's a one-off with Bellerin. He's been doing it every single game that he takes the throw-ins. I mean, you could see in the first 2 or 3 minutes, he gets the ball, he looks left, he looks right, he looks left and right. Someone makes a run, and he just goes straight to the Spurs player. And that was in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I remember that, Danny, because I remember thinking to myself, what the fuck went on there?
That just looked like utter frustration. It was like, fuck this. I'm throwing it to the opposition. If you can't give me decent movement, fuck you. I'm giving it to them.
I mean, and during the game, Gary Neville, the commentator, was saying, Gary Neville said, the last time I saw someone do 3 foul throws was in 1986. And the other commentator said, yeah, in your back garden with Phil Neville when you were kids, something along the lines like that. I mean, after taking 1 foul throw, you think you would never do that again. There's 5-year-olds playing football that would know not how to take a proper throw in.
I think that's the thing, though, that if you make a foul throw, you generally ask for the rest of your team to get into a better position for the next
Yeah.
one. Because you're like, right, I need to do. It's a bit like hitting a foul serve in tennis. You never see them go and do something amazing and a super fast one afterwards. They just get it in. That's all they do. They don't try and ace the player when they take the second serve. So I think it's the same there, that we're just not giving the options. And you can see that with even our build-up play. We haven't got the players to deal with crossing at all. Like, Aubameyang's not great in the air. We saw Lacazette with his header. That it was a good header, but we need more chances than that. Well, we had 3 shots on target. And although like our XG comes to being better than Spurs, and that's the thing that Arteta's pointing out, we should also point out is Arteta or Spurs have currently got players that, would you say, are at least on par with the players we've got in our team in terms of Aubameyang and Kane. Kane's putting those chances away. Aubameyang's not putting those chances away. Have we got a player like Son on his day?
No,
Willian,
I mean,
maybe Pepe.
maybe Pepe, but
Yeah.
if you're going to compare Pepe to Son, that's ridiculous. Son is clear of Pepe. Very, very clear of Pepe. If he was to go man for man in from our squad to the Spurs squad, you're talking, is Kane better than Aubameyang? At the moment, yes. Overall, arguably, is Son better than Pepe? Yes. Is who we got? Is Højbjerg better than Xhaka? Yeah.
Højbjerg's one of those difficult ones. He's on a par with about
Yeah.
El Neni, basically. He's a very clever, very good player. But he's one of those that you'd never covet from another side.
No. You're thinking, is Dyer better than Gabriel? No. Is he better than Holding? Arguably. Who's their left back? Oh, that guy from Real Madrid, isn't it? Not Real Madrid. The Spanish guy. I forgot his name.
Reguilon.
Yeah.
Celso was in the middle.
Is he better than Tierney? He's faster. That's probably about it. Their right back is that dickhead.
Aurier.
Is he better than Bellerin? I want to say no, but maybe. So man for man, do you know what I mean? That they're just set up well. I mean, the one thing you can't take away from Jose Mourinho is, yes, as a person, he's a shitbag. He actually is. But as a manager, he knows how to win games. You know, in the first 2 seasons, give it third season, then we'd have this conversation. But he knows how to win games. He knows how to go out there and get his players to do a job. And they did a job on us today. You know, I'm not going to call it a tactical masterclass because it really isn't. Flipping Chris Carpenter could get the Pirates to play against Arsenal and probably win the game. But, you know, Jose Mourinho gave the Spurs players a task to do. And those Spurs players went out there and executed that task perfectly. They got their 2 goals and they won the game. You know, they shut up shop when they need to. They attacked us when they need to. Again, I'm not going to give him a pat on the back and say it's tactical masterclass because it really wasn't. But at the same time, you give credit where credit is due. And Jose Mourinho out-tacticked Arteta, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I think that's a given, basically, that Jose Mourinho is a better manager than Arteta at the moment, from what we can see in the football, and I think in general for the squad as a whole. I think it's a combination, because I don't think we're all Arteta out, but I think we need to start looking at what he's getting from this squad as well. Like, while the squad is, I think we'd all say that 60% of that squad isn't good enough for Arsenal. But Arteta should be doing better with that 60% than he is at the moment. Like, in terms of his players in the team, he asked for Partey, he asked for Gabriel, and we could probably say Tierney as well, is, you know, players that we've brought in that kind of fit the way Arteta wants to play. Saka's come through the academy and looks to be getting a bit more of a look in than the rest of the Hairland boys at the moment. But the rest of that squad, you look at it, there's probably maybe 1-2 players you'd keep from that. The rest of it, he's got to get that rest of the team performing. And if that means him rolling back a little bit on his philosophy to be getting, we won an FA Cup with this same squad. We need to look back at that and him to, roll back on his philosophy a little bit, because he doesn't have the players to do what he wants to do. But he's got to do better than this squad, because this squad is still better than 16th. Like you were saying, Karl, too good to go down. So I wonder why, where we kind of look at Arteta in general, Danny. And what are the have you seen from the chat box? What does the chat box say on Arteta?
Well, True Gooner has just donated £1.99 English pence. Thank you very much, True Gooner. He says, William was immense. So pleased he's playing. Disgruntled face or Pinocchio face. I can't really see. What was that? Oh, that's my cat. I think most people are willing to give Arteta time, but then I think something has to be done. A lot has to be done in the January transfer window. There's players that needs to go. We've got a couple of questions. If you have been putting your questions in the chat, then me and Karl are collating them and putting them on our chat for later. But there's January. If the big things aren't done in January, I don't know if it's going to be down to him, whether it's going to be down to the Cronkies, whether it's going to be who it's going to be down to. But they're going to need to look at that squad and go, I've told you some of these players need to go. Whether it is releasing players on a free transfer, paying up their contracts like Kolasinac, he's got no future at the club, and Pepe, no future at the club. Whether you can afford to pay up Ozil's contract and get him out, just so then you can get more players in to take up those places. If at the moment clubs are desperate for money, and if you're going to throw money at a club for some players, then they might take it. I think we need a new right back. Bellerin for me. We always need a boo boy, whether it's going back to the Abue days or whether it's any of those lot. We always need a boo boy at the club, and at the moment it's Bellerin, and Bellerin isn't helping himself. He's not defending. He's messing up in so many different ways. But I don't know, people in the chat, just put, are you Arteta in or Arteta out? Answer Josh's question, and then I'll highlight it. But personally, I think we've got to give him the rest of the season, see what he can do in the January transfer window. But he's got to be backed by the club, because it's not his own money, is it?
No, and I think he has been backed with the players he's brought in, and we can see the players that he has brought in have done well.
Gabriel's brilliant.
But as a manager, you've got to work with the squad you've got as well and get them performing. Okay, you don't like the fact that you've got Granit Xhaka in your squad, but you still got to get the most out of him. And I think that's the criticism that we've got to start pointing at the manager, because he's not beyond criticism now, I think. Karl, give us your overall thoughts on the game, and I think we'll move to questions afterwards.
It was a bad game. It wasn't good. At the end of the day, we got hit with a sucker punch twice, unfortunately, and
we all knew that's how they beat us, Karl. We all knew that's what they do.
But the thing
how
is,
do we know?
If I know it, you know it. Why doesn't the man who is tasked with winning the game knows it? Like, is
he naive or stupid?
No, he's trying to input his philosophy on the club. He's trying to, put his rubber stamp on and how this club should play. At the end of the day, he's not getting it right. But like we said in our group, this is too big. This club is too big, and the job is too important for him to learn on the job. He can't do it. It's not. Arsenal is not a club for a manager to learn his trade, and he needs to get the Pep playbook out of his head. He needs to make sure that he plays his own game. Whether the players are not good enough, whether what he wants to do, we don't have the players to do it. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it was a bad day today, and the second half kind of gave me a little bit of encouragement. Just the fact that we didn't capitulate, we kind of held our own. We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and I think Arteta said today, we have to start scoring goals. We have to put the ball in the back of the net. And we're not doing that. And like I said, I don't know if that's cryptic for we need another striker. You know, he's tried to play Aubameyang on the left. He tried to play Aubameyang up front. It's not working. He's tried to play Lacazette up front. It's not working. He tried to play him in this hybrid number 10 role. It's not working. What do you do? Like, what is it that you do? Do you go balls out and try and play Eddie and see if that changes our fortunes? Like I said, we've got Burnley at home next. So is that a chance of, you know, seeing what you can do against Burnley? Who knows? But at the end of the day, something needs to change. And what he did, how we play today, is just 100% not good enough.
Yeah, I think we can all agree in terms of the result, what we saw from the player performances, and I think just in general, it didn't seem like it was our day at all. But Danny, let's move into some questions. We will go with the first one from Julian Salmondo, our man in Miami. Danny, if we got relegated, would the Cronkies sell?
We're not going to get relegated. There is no way we can get relegated because Sheffield United 1 point from 11 games, West Brom and Burnley on 6, Fulham on 7. And so we're, at the moment, we're 6 points clear. No, we're 7 points clear of relegation. It's only a matter of time until it starts clicking. Either Arteta is going to have to change the way he's doing things or bring players in, because all we have been saying for ages is wait until this person's back, wait until that person's back. I mean, we would say we haven't been having many chances recently, but you look at the last game in Europe and this game here, we had loads of chances. We are creating more stuff. It's just that when you're coming up against a team that have got all the buses and parked them, they had no intention to playing football. Like the commentator was saying, that is this what Spurs really want? Because they're a team that have historically played good football. I mean, when you got Gareth Bale on the bench and you don't even bother bringing him on, and he hasn't bothered using him much since he's had him, it is going to come good sooner rather than later. And we all know Daytak's a bit miserable, but she was putting earlier, we have had a hell of a hard start to the season. We've probably had one of the hardest starts to the season. So I think it's a combination of many things. This isn't going to carry on. We're probably going to go on a run now of 3 or 4 wins out of the next 5 or 6 games, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And you can't, I mean, historically, you look at any striker, eventually they start scoring goals again, and that's going to happen to Alba. But they know what Arteta's tactics will be. And we saw this today. Like someone put in the chat, they said, we saw this against Leicester where they said they're going to hold us for an hour, bring on Jamie Vardy and score. We all knew that had happened. We all knew this was going to happen today. So, I don't know. Like Chris said in our group, Arsenal is not a club you learn on the job at. God, I hate saying something that Chris is right. Scumbag.
Well, we'll move on quickly from Chris being correct. Karl, question from Joshua Page. Would you rather Arsenal get relegated or them lot winning the league?
Fuck me. Arsenal get relegated. I can't have Tottenham winning shit. We'll get relegated and their cabinet will still be empty. So, yeah, I don't mind. Millwall versus Arsenal, just down the road from me. Easy.
Fucking hell.
Don't you go, Karl. You'll get booed.
Of course I will. I know this.
Right. Let's see if we've got any upbeat questions.
Look who's popped up. You couldn't. I'll tell you the kind of person Chris is, people. This is the shit we have to deal with. Who's available? Karl put his hand up straight away. I'm free. Josh said I'm probably free. Chris said, I'll let you know later in the day. Which is code words for what, Josh?
Oh, he's going to sniffing some bike seats down at Plymouth Docks.
Well, I actually meant if we win, he'd be on. Part-time fan. He always puts in the group 10 minutes. I'm giving up watching. Do we know we should run a syndicate on at what minute will Chris go? That's it. I'm not watching anymore and fuck off and watch football. Happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, data nerds. Chris is seldom correct. Yes. And he's watching French football.
Of course he is. Scumbag. Divian says that Chris is absolutely right here, though. No, don't ever say that. If we could time you out for that, Divian, we would.
Yeah, but we're too busy looking for some upbeat questions in here. Question from blimey.
Let's just face it, you're not going to get any.
I know. I'm just trying
don't
to.
need
Come
to-
on, give me a break. Come on. I would say. Oh, I haven't got any. We haven't got any good ones. Okay. Right. Let's go from the opposite side of the coin then. Karl from. Oh, I'm going to work this one. Bavyajan. What does it take him to be sacked, Arteta?
You know what? It does. I think if we are in quote unquote the same position come Christmas or just after Christmas, we don't see Arteta in the new year. I can't see that. I think if we are still 16th on January the 1st, yeah, Arteta doesn't take us beyond January, because no matter what, even though we really, really don't belong down there, results don't lie. The table doesn't lie at the end of the day. So Mikel Arteta needs a league win badly. He needs a league win really, really quickly. And hopefully he can kickstart with Burnley at home. But yeah, he has to pull his finger out and get a win from somewhere, or 100% he's looking over his shoulder.
Don't worry, we've got Dundalk on Thursday away to the Irish champion.
5.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll
stat padding time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think Arteta leaves at all. I don't think he's sacked. I think we're still giving him time. Like I was kind of saying, that we know we need to make a squad clear out, but I think it also needs to be mentioned that Arteta does need to do better with the squad he's currently got. And it's only 4 weeks until January. Hooray!
Josh, Richard Garrett asked earlier in the chat and no one answered him. So he's asked here, why are they foul throws? Is it foot placement?
So if I remember rightly, and this is going purely off the top of my head from when I was playing football, because obviously we're not allowed to play football anymore since COVID. A foul throw can be for if your feet go over the line when you're taking a throw, or 1 foot on the line. If your heel is raised when you throw it, I think that's another one.
Both feet need to be planted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The ball has to come, isn't it?
The ball has to start behind your head, and I think it's got to be released before it's. This is an awful angle for anybody to see. I think directly above it before you get. It can't be released after that.
Yeah, because it can't go straight down, can it? Like it can't. Yeah, I know you say you can't. The ball can't go straight on the floor. It has to be released. I think before top of your head. I'm sure that's the rule.
Top of your head, and I'm sure it is foot. It's at least 1 foot planted. Back foot can. Yeah, I remember always getting done for my back foot being raised, but that was a while ago.
Hello, Lily.
So yeah, I think it's all about heel placement generally. Sorry, I need to.
Much like Strictly.
Yeah, sorry, bit COVID there. What other questions have we got from there? Because I don't want any. Let's ask from Rudy Rastos, who I had a chat with at half time as well. Secretly on the Xbox. Stefan Selby created a little party and we all joined it.
Oh, was it a party?
It was more of a wake. A halftime wake. Had asked, what has Ainsley Maitland-Niles to do? What does Ainsley Maitland-Niles need to do to replace Bellerin? Karl, question for you, that one.
He doesn't want to play right back, does he? He doesn't want to be a right back or left back. So I think because that stuck in Arteta's head, in it, because remember he came out and he said, I want to play in midfield, and then next thing there was talk about, you're going to leave, blah blah blah. It's worth a try dropping Bellerin. I personally think Bellerin had a bad game today. I genuinely do. I don't think he done anything in the game today where I thought was good. You know, the fell throws was just a part of what he done, but you know, being out of position, and maybe that's what Arteta's asking him to do. And I'm sick of him getting into positions to make a cross and just putting it into the box, not looking up and seeing who's in the box, just hitting it and hoping that someone's in the box. His composure is really bad. He's like he panics. He gets too far forward, gets a nosebleed, and thinks, "Shit, I just got to put this into the box," and then run backwards. And you know, he doesn't have any composure at all. And I'm not even putting that to age anymore, because he's been playing for long enough that he should be better at doing that. So maybe it's time to give him a little rest, drop him, and seeing what Ainsley Maitland-Niles can do.
Yeah, I think I agree on Maitland-Niles needs to come in. I think Maitland-Niles was playing that central midfield, and what we saw against, oh god, it was only last week. It wasn't Mulder, was it? It was the other one, Rapid Vienna, with Maitland-Niles in midfield. I think that's where we're going to see him play longer term under Arteta.
Last week.
Sorry,
That's not bad things. It's 3 days ago.
I know exactly. I've just forgotten what
Good
happened.
God.
It was last week because it's Sunday. But I think I don't think he can play necessarily what Bellerin does. He's got the recovery pace for it, but Bellerin's really good at progressing the ball, and I think that's one of the things that we do get from him. But I think Maitland-Niles kind of had a choice. He could have gone in the summer and decided to stay. You know, I think the money that was on the table, I think we could have got a bit more for him, but ultimately, player wanted to stay. And if he does want to play in midfield, I think that's the only place he gets into the team at the moment, because we've got a lot of options in that kind of right back. And we've kind of seen he doesn't play. Arteta only plays like traditional right backs. If we play like a 5 at the back. So I think we could get him in there, but otherwise, I think it's just a case of Bellerin, Maitland-Niles deciding which position he is actually going to play, or suck it up as a utility man. Because I did think he did play well against Vienna, but that was Vienna. You know, like we can say for all the Europa League games, we haven't been great in the competition.
We've got a Mainsley hater, not surprisingly. Daytax says,
I mean,
he sucks and no one cares what he wants.
I don't think he is good. I don't think he runs around a lot. I'll give him that.
The problem is
Yeah.
is that he needs a chance. You know, and this is what Arteta does: puts you in one game, takes you out the next, and you know that's why Pepe is kind of suffering. You know, he's in one game, he's out the next. He's in one game, he's out the next. I think these Europa Cup games is the longest run that Pepe's sort of had in the squad. You know, he's almost guaranteed to play every single game, rightly so. But if you're going to play Ainsley in the squad like for a sustained period of time, then put him in and just see what he does. I mean, you know, he was arguably our best player apart from Aubameyang in the latter part of last season. You know, when he was used as that hybrid sort of left wing back, he was doing brilliantly, and you know that's the reason why sort of he was in the squad. You know, even remember that Wolves game when he had to go up against what's his face, the brick shit house. You know, he done well, and even in the FA Cup final, he done well. So I don't know. I don't understand what's changed so much from last season to this season.
Yeah, I've noticed Arteta needs to be doing a lot of tinkering with certain players at the same time. Like we saw, like you were saying, that Maitland-Niles came out of the team for a bit, then came back in midfield. We saw Pepe. He went out of the team earlier in the season, and then suddenly came back playing on the left wing rather than on the right. And we've seen Rob Holding come out of the team last season and get moved over to the right side of the defence. And I wonder if Arteta's leaving some of these players out for this extended period of time because he's trying to change how they play a little bit so that he can mould them. But at the moment, like you kind of say, we're getting let down by a lot of players that we think should be at least holding a consistent performance, rather than these raw talents that we have got in abundance. You know, the likes of Nelson, the likes of Willock as well. These players that are really raw, I'm saying Nketiah as well, but don't seem to necessarily get the game time because Arteta doesn't seem to trust them as much. But yeah, I'm not sure where. It's like we kind of said before, we don't know what Arteta's kind of doing. Like, this squad should be improving under Arteta, and it isn't necessarily. Right, we've nearly gone an hour. One thing I will say, and I will give my YouTube a refresh just so I make sure I'm at the right point. We've got 142 watching
YouTube. No, there's questions there like that from Naz that they're not coming up in my YouTube or in any of the. I've got 3 YouTubes open. There's none coming up, so I can't highlight it and copy it.
Oh, well, we'll ask that question in a second. I was just going to say we've got 144 people watching and only 54 likes.
That is
get
sad
some
times.
thumbs up, there would at least be something good to cheer about, or a thumbs down. To be honest, you know, if loads of videos get thumbs down, we might get close to. Isn't it Justin Bieber? Hasn't he got the record for most thumbs down on YouTube? I don't know, but if we get that, that'd be all right. Yeah, mates with everyone. What was that question, Danny? Because I've forgotten it after you put it up. There we go. Karl, do you want to take that question?
Good luck.
What question? What?
Can someone talk to me about Alba? What the fuck was he doing? I don't know if that means generally or today or.
He's going through a really, really bad spell at present. The problem is he's not getting the service either. Like, it's not just Aubameyang. He isn't getting what the service that he got last season. You know, everything was played sort of through Aubameyang last season on the left, and you know, it was almost poetry. Ball gets played up, Aubameyang cuts inside, goal. The issue is teams have now realised how to play against Aubameyang. So what you realise is that they're doubling up on the left, so on the right-hand side. Spurs kind of did that today as well. They doubled up on the right-hand side when Aubameyang switched over, and that's what they're doing. They're realising that that's what you need to do. If you keep Aubameyang sort of just outside the box, he's ineffective. Cut off the supply to Aubameyang, and that's it. I mean, when you've got, you know, his main supplier is Ceballos and Xhaka, who's always going to be sideways, backwards. You know, that's not much of a threat. You got Ceballos who does pirouette sideways. It's maybe even a spell out of the squad might do him some good as well. Do you know what I mean? Arteta's got to try something. He has to try something. You know, there's this whole thing where, you know, people say, you know, you got to play a player through a bad spell, and there are some, I guess, truth to that. But at the moment, you know, he has got, what was it, 1 league goal, 2 league goals this season. One was a penalty against Manchester United, and one was on the opening day against Fulham. For someone who has signed a brand new contract and who was buoyant and was our best player last season, the decline is awful. Like, really, really bad, the decline. And what the reason for that decline is, I don't know. But maybe a spell out. Maybe leave him out against. Don't start him against Burnley. You know, he's not going to play the Europa League. He's not going to go to Dundalk, let's face it, and leave him out. Or maybe he does. Maybe he needs to play against Dundalk to get a couple of goals. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that might be the spark. Put him in against Dundalk, let him come on, get a few goals, and, you know, as long as he's got that a goal under his belt, no matter who it's against, it doesn't really matter, but restart his goal scoring touch. So yeah, maybe play him against Dundalk.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I think he needs to get, you know, some goals under his belt. You know, it's really difficult when you go on that kind of spell, and, you know, you got the penalty, against United, and you think from there, okay, he could push on, and he's just not necessarily getting. We know we're not creating enough opportunities for him, but it's a two-way street. He's also got to be making good movement as well for the availability. I know we can talk about Xhaka for days.
No, don't.
Yeah, I think
he's going to get the ball. It's like we get two magnets and you put the negative to the positive or the other way around, and it's repelled every time he gets the ball and he goes forward. He's repelled at the halfway line magnetically. He has to give the ball backwards. He just doesn't give a shit enough. I'm sick and tired of him.
Yeah, I think the only the analogy I'm using at the moment to describe Granit Xhaka is Arteta has as much faith in Granit Xhaka, just like Sean McVay has a lot of faith in Jared Goff as a quarterback. For any NFL fans out there, it's got a similar kind of thing to him. It's a player that gets a lot of shit from the fans, but clearly does something. But it's just something that we can't necessarily find is tangible. Obviously, as a quarterback, it's a little easier to work out what they're doing. But
I've watched one Dolphins game this season. We lost our game-winning streak. It was very annoying. Do you think if another manager came in, they could turn this around? Someone with more experience, like someone was saying Rafa Benitez or someone like that. Do you think they could do anything, get a tune out of this squad?
I'd say in the short term, yes, but we'd still have this problem next season because, Rafa would plug the gaps. It's a bit like what we saw from Emery. Emery did an all right job with us. He didn't do a great job, and in the end, he ended up doing a shit job overall. But it's just something that I don't really know, because I think it's a bit of an issue. It's a bit on both sides. Arteta should be doing better with the squad he's got, basically, is the long and short of it. But should we persevere with him? Yes, because I think in the long term, Arteta is a good solution for us. But, we've got to break some eggs to make an omelette.
At what point do you see this getting better? If we have a look at our subs, Josh. I mean, not our subs.
Subs.
Our next few games, Dundalk will be. Then we've got 2 home games against Burnley and Southampton. We're away at Everton. I mean, you look at Everton, top of the league for ages, and now they can't buy a win. Then we're away to Everton. So those 3 games, you two, Josh, what do you think? We're gonna 13th, 16th, and 19th. So we've got those 6 days, 3 games. Could you see us getting 9 points?
Well, I think the fixture list is, in terms of how quickly we go up against all these games, is not. December's always a difficult month for us, basically.
Yeah.
I think we need to work on
9 games in December.
Squad management. Yeah, because we've also got Man City in the EFL Cup. We've got Chelsea. It's like I've got the fixture list in front of me.
I'm trying to make it sound good, Josh, and you're ruining it by saying
sorry.
Good.
Well, we never beat Southampton, I swear, in December anyway, because they always come to our place and smash us, and a fullback scores a screamer from 45 yards. Yeah, exactly. Burnley, well, we just saw what Spurs did to us. Burnley will do the same. Chris Wood, probably, hat-trick. And then Everton, you just said they can't buy a win. So, Arsenal coming to their place. 3 points for Carlo Ancelotti. Thank you very much. Indeed. There's his early Christmas present for him. So, yeah, it's going to be a difficult few games if we don't get momentum. I think once we get over the Christmas period, basically, we then at some point go into like a winter break of sorts. But January looks a lot easier, shall I say. A lot easier for us, especially if Man City knock us out the EFL Cup. If we somehow we'll probably fluke a win in that, won't we?
Oh, we don't need 2 semi-final games, do we? Or is it 1 now?
I think it's 1 this year, but it's still in January, so that's another game shoehorned in. Because come January, it's West Brom, Newcastle, Palace, Newcastle again, because one of them was in the FA Cup, then Southampton and Man United. So I think we end up with something a little easier. Hopefully we've got fans in there for January, a lot of home games, a lot of support, because you could see that the team were kind of, pleased to be playing in front of fans, should we say, against Rapid Vienna. And if we can get the first, and if we can get the first kind of proper league game out of the way, I did think that having fans at this Spurs game would at least get us kind of motivated, the team motivated, but it seemed not. But I'm still going to hold on to that with the Arsenal fans in front of the team, that team will hear our thoughts on them and we can see some better performances from us. Because as Femi has just said in our chat, we are 20th in the league for chance creation, and that includes 3,000 crosses that we played in that game. Karl?
Ask Karl a question.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
I said, can I ask Karl a question?
Yes, you can.
Oh, lovely. Karl, we saw that in our WhatsApp group, Drew put that amazing stat. 94 league teams, Arsenal have the worst record for creating chances in the second half. Comparing us to Cambridge United, Peterborough, Plymouth.
The thing is, surely Arteta knows this. There's no way that, with all the stats people around him and everything like that, there's no way he doesn't know this. So whether we go and said no one ever, I kind of wish Carpenter was here, because he could answer this question. But whether we go all out and just say, you know what, we just go and get him from France. But I know he's out of the squad at the moment for discipline reasons. But do we just say we need him? We need some sort of creative midfielder in the squad. And if we're not going to use the one that we have in our squad now, that's on £350,000 sitting at home playing flipping Xbox games, then we have to go out and get somebody. We have to, because Aubameyang is not getting the service that he needs. We've got all these players that can put the ball back in the net. As bad as Lacazette is, you give him a chance, he can put the ball in the net. But he's not getting the service, and he's having to come back to flipping get the ball. So I don't know. I don't know. We in January we definitely have to buy some sort of creative player. Who that is, I have no idea. But we have to. We absolutely have to. Or Arteta has to put the tail between his legs and bring back Ozil. Whatever the reason is, he needs to do something, because at the moment, I know you keep saying that we're too big to go down, and but I can't see us getting a win from anywhere at the present. When have you ever known an Arsenal team to look at a fixture list and think, shit, I do not know if we're going to flipping win that game? Burnley at home. We are playing Burnley at home. When have you ever known?
And we're worried.
When have we ever been worried about playing Burnley at home? But we are.
1926.
Wasn't you 10 then, Danny? But we are.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what else we can say, to be honest. I think we all just want to have dinner.
Pulis in.
Pulis in. Fuck that. Right. I think that's as good a time as any to wrap this up. Yeah. Thank you very much, Karl and Danny, for appearing on what is a Bergkamp Wonderland, not an Arsenal podcast. I think the only thing I can say is, well, what can I say? I say, does anybody? Yeah, we'll just say fuck Ellis, and that Ross from the Hipsters is now on YouTube under Challenger Ross. So go all follow him. He doesn't cover Arsenal, so at least it will be nice. Turn the shit off, please, Danny.
Certainly.